I'm on fire this morning. Alan Reynolds, how's it going?
Not too bad, thanks.
Good. We start talking about politics in the North Keys.
No.
Go
You've had the last hour of that, I hear. I'm okay.
There'll be no grilling this morning. I had 3 Weetabix this morning, and that's probably why I'm a bit excited.
Okay, I heard you're on fire, all right.
Oh, Jesus, on fire, I'll tell you. Listen, thanks so much for coming in to us. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
You just announced last night that you've left Waterford FC as manager. Firstly, how are you?
I'm not too bad. Obviously disappointed that it's come to this. I think it's well documented that there's been issues in the last few months, and I just feel now, you've seen in my statement yesterday, I feel now is the time for me to move on. But it's not something I would have liked to have done. I would have liked to have stayed. I enjoy doing what I'm doing, but it just wasn't to be now.
We'll talk about the different aspects of that, because we have a nice 10-15 minutes to chat about this, because it's very important. As you say, I appreciate you coming in. It's good to talk to the national media, and again, you've never forgotten about, and you are a local man, and that's so important, and it's so great, and I appreciate you coming in to talk to us, right? Family comes into it, and finances, and you have to look after yourself ultimately. You're part of a club, you're part of a community, and you've never forgotten that. And yet, no matter what people say, oh Jesus, stay, you have to look at the reality. What is the reality with Waterford FC at the minute?
The reality, it is obviously that there's no, football at the minute. Everyone's waiting to find out about, is it going to go back? Which there might be news today on it, I'm not so sure. But reality is 4 months ago, we stopped playing, and there hasn't been any communication, Damien, in the last 4 months. I
heard you saying this about Lee, and there's no communication.
Yeah.
And then Jack is obviously Lee's son. Lee Power is the owner of the club.
Yes.
Jack is his person in Waterford, you could put it like that.
Yeah.
And then there's a certain layer of management structure in place there. When you say there's been no communication, what do you mean by that?
But when this came about that we were laid off, everyone was expecting, the season stopped, and you're going to be stopped getting paid. And then as that went on, we were on the COVID scheme, getting a small percentage of it, and we were all happy enough with it, and accepted it. That's the way the country. But then there was obviously the text came in from a player. I got it to check your email, so I was laid off. So, obviously, I reacted to that and was disappointed with the way that was handled. But even after that, there still hasn't been any contact as such, Is
it incumbent on you as the manager to represent your players' interests and your players' disgruntlement with that? Like, should you have been in touch with the owners?
Yeah, look, you would go, but I would have tried, to get in contact. But obviously he's had a lot of other stuff going on, so he hasn't got it. But it's important for me to relay the messages back to the players, and we've all been starved of information of what's happening in the club or in the league, for that matter. I'm basically relying on what the players were telling me from the PFEI.
Yeah.
So I don't think taking the cut was an issue. It definitely wasn't an issue from the players and the staff. Nobody had a problem. It was just, could it be handled a little bit better? And we were just a little bit disappointed with that.
Can I tease this out a little bit, okay? Like, again, you're intimating that you're texting, or you're ringing, or you're leaving messages maybe on Jack's phone or on Lee's phone, or you're trying to find out, or nothing's coming back. Like, just talk to me. What?
Yeah, well, look, I would have, Lee would be the one I would deal with. He's the one that makes the decisions at the end of the day, from over across in the UK or wherever he is, yeah. But so I would have, I've tried to call him a few times, tried to text, and didn't get any response. So obviously going to get fed up with doing that. I'm not going to keep doing it, and I stopped, and
it's belittling, is it?
Yeah, it is. You're not going to keep doing that, and so that's where it was. I just found it frustrating, and Jack is there, but I deal with Lee.
There have been quite specific and public reports in the papers in Britain in particular, and a lot of the lads here, Shane Murphy and other lads, have done good analysis of the court cases that have been going on with Lee Power in Britain. And just to sum it up, there's been issues there regarding finances, regarding Swindon. And as we know, or people that don't know, Lee he owns Swindon, he owns Waterford as well. Do you think that had something to do with it, or was it just like you would have had a good relationship with Lee in the past?
Yeah, look, I would have. I don't know the ins and outs of that. I'm like everyone else.
Yeah.
I'm reading up, and it doesn't make great reading. If you're a Waterford manager or supporter for that matter. But my relationship with Lee would have been, really good at the start. But then there hasn't been any contact in the last few months. Bar last week there was one, so that's once in 4 months. So, but even in fairness to him, you go and get your squad together and as best you can. He doesn't interfere with it, and then you don't, you wouldn't hear from that often, bar the odd text. So it started off like he was really enthusiastic about the whole thing, and this is great, and came over to watch the games. But I think that has lessened as it's gone on. Whether he's seen us play in the league last year or not, I'm not sure. So it's definitely lessened. But I'm sure that's come with the financial burden of carrying the budget and the knock-on effect of that.
You're a straight talking guy. You like people to say it as it is and to your face. So I presume you would like Lee to have picked up the phone and said, listen, Alan, this is the situation.
Oh, 100%. Come and just tell us. And as I said, Damien, there's no problem with the cuts. Everyone across the country is doing it, so that wasn't an issue. But you just got to tell me and leave me go back to the players, and the players have been more than happy. So I was really disappointed with that. That's not how I would do it. You have to make difficult calls, difficult decisions, and be man enough to do that. Everyone wants to make the good ones of telling people how great or you're getting a rise or you're this, but these are the ones you're paid to do. And for me, if you run a club or own a club, you have to make those calls.
How did the last 6 months, the last year affect you then in terms of the COVID? Obviously you had the court case which ended, and success with that in the sense that it concluded.
Yes.
And then obviously you're under pressure to provide an income for your family.
Yeah, so I'm like everyone, you just get by and you're hoping that it turns around, but we're waiting then week after week to see if the league will start back. And again, we're starved of information on that as well. But look, I'm like everyone, just get by and make the best of it. But you put everything into this, Damien, and for the last 3.5 years, and this is Franny Rocket right the way through, we put everything we've got into this, and that's what disappoints you, to go, do you know what, your family suffer, friends, everyone suffers, that you give so much to it, and to be treated like that, that's, it's a real kick in the teeth.
How do you feel?
Look, I'm disappointed because...
Are you angry?
I'm not so much angry. I'm just disappointed that I don't want, I've come out and said, look, I'm leaving, I'm parting ways, but I think everyone knows that I would stay in Waterford if it was right and there was a chance. But, there's something not right if you're not speaking to somebody in 4 or 5 months.
A lot of people don't leave jobs unless they've another job lined up.
Right. How do I answer this one?
Don't be a politician now. Come on, be straight talking. You've always been straight talking. No.
What I would say on that is a club asked for permission 10 days ago or so to speak to me, and that was granted. Which again, I was a little bit disappointed. Going, do you know what? Why did you just turn around and tell him shag off? He's not going anywhere. So once you're granted permission to go and speak to him, it's look, we've no problem, off you go. So there has been positive talks.
And who would have communicated that information to you that you'd permission to talk? Would it be Tony or somebody?
No, a friend of Lee Power. So Lee didn't get in touch with me. A friend of his got in touch to say, look,
from England or Ireland?
Ireland. Got in touch to say Dundalk had been on. He's given you permission to speak. So I still didn't get it from him to go, off you go. So I rang Lee the next day to say, look, I'm going to meet him. So on, and he said, yeah, off you go, do what you have to do.
You going to Dundalk?
No, I'm not going to say yes or not going to say no. We're having talks at the minute, but there's a few other things going on as well. So
like what? Well, nobody's listening, just between you and me. Come on.
Yeah. No, thanks.
There's a couple of other things going on.
Yeah, there's a couple of other things
so
going on.
You have options.
Yes, I have options, and there's been a lot of positive talks going on, and which is good, and but I'm not even thinking of that, Damien. I'm thinking of, as I mentioned, Franny Rock. I'm thinking of the players going.
Yeah.
Here's
supporters, everybody.
Everyone, there's a knock-on effect. I see the lads, Frosty and those, raising money for the Block E boys. I see all this going on, and as I said, I just want to see. I would like to have stayed here. I'm not going to. I'll move on now. But I just, I think of all them as well. There's a bigger picture to this. It's the kids going to watch the game. I'm just fearful of the whole thing, at the minute.
Do you think Dundalk, just on the Dundalk thing, they obviously knew and they know there's issues in all different clubs, and there's, particularly in Waterford at the minute, they would have seen what would have been there. Do you think they would have come to you and said, because you are a highly prized asset, they would have come to you and said, okay, we have a vacancy there, let's talk to him and see how it goes? And it's fallen the way it's fallen. I won't say nicely, it's fallen the way it's not, because it's a horrible situation for everybody.
Yeah, but look, I think it's well documented about, Waterford cutting the budget and not being paid, and then, like, am I still a Waterford manager? I haven't been paid, I suppose, in 4 months, temporarily laid off, no communication. So I'm kind of going, in one sense I was surprised, but in fairness to say Dundalk, doing their business right, contacting the club. But I'm kind of going, why would they contact the club in one sense if, I mightn't even be still manager the way it's going, that nobody's been in touch with me. But look, they've done it and we've spoken, and we're still talking. That's where that is. But, I feel if you're a player and somebody comes in, rings me and asks me about, say, Zach Elbazetti, Michael O'Connor, if I don't want him to go anywhere, I kill that conversation there and then. And that's it. No, he's not going, he's staying. And that hasn't happened.
So the fact that you were let talk to Dundalk was kind of another indication for you that things aren't good here.
Oh, look, that's just me as a manager. There's no way, the players that we've had down through the last few years, if there was no way he was going, I would cut it short. I have had managers on asking about players, and that's the way you do it. If you open the door at all, it means you have doubts. You don't mind them moving on.
When do you expect those talks or matters to be concluded?
Probably in the next week or so, Damien, but...
and the best of luck with it.
Yeah, but look, as I said, I think it's clear that I would have liked to stay at Waterford, and I think people are blaming the COVID scheme and all that, but I just want the club to push on and the underage, they're all struggling and going, what's happening here? We're going to play football and that. We've excellent coaches involved, good people involved as well, and I see the likes of Tony Burke. I was talking to him yesterday, and he's disillusioned with what's happening. Great fellas, but like I would have found when I came in first with Waterford and Pat Fenlon was there, he was excellent. He ran things on the pitch and off the pitch, and I don't think he's been replaced.
What do you think is going to happen to Waterford FC now? What state are they in?
Look, I have no idea what state they're in financially. It's not something I would have got involved with. And on the football sense of it, I know from the players, from speaking to the players, that I've advised them get back, do well. I want to see the club do well and the team do well and to kick on. But they're, I suppose, a little bit disillusioned with it as well. It's not a good time to be a footballer, an out-of-contract footballer, because, you look at the UK and that nobody will be signing players. It's the power will be with the clubs now, not with the player. And all they want to do is get back. That's like all the lads I was on to. They want to come back and do well for Waterford. And are they disillusioned a bit? Some of them might not come back.
I really, really feel for the players. You know them a lot better than I do, but I'd say, even I presume texting them yesterday or ringing them and talking to them, there's a sadness there.
Yeah, look, there is, and there's a sadness and there's disillusioned. That's because there's no information coming. They haven't heard anything, bar what's coming from the union. They need to hear from the club.
A lot of texts coming in. So sorry to see you go. Blues Supporters Club, Teresa texting in, John has phoned in, a lot of texts coming in. You're going to be really missed. What have you got to say to the Waterford fans out there?
Just to stick with it. Been through tough times before. Hopefully, things will swing around, and we all just work together. And look, I see things about people getting banned from the club and banned from and it just disappoints me, Damien. I see the Shane Murphy, as you mentioned, but let's all work together here. Like, we need to just stick together, and I'll be gone, and that's the way it is. And there's good coaches there, as I said. But let's all stick together and try and rally around and get back in and support it. And hopefully Lee has the appetite to keep going. That's my fear, But
and if he doesn't,
I don't look. I wouldn't. I couldn't. I wouldn't know. But it needs to keep going. That's for sure.
Alan Reynolds, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Enjoy the harp in Donegal. Talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Now, in a minute, I'm going to be talking to Anne Casson, so I'd like you to text in, please, 083 3333 975. Any questions for Anne? I mentioned it earlier, and also some of the wonderful stories that have been done on Nationwide, specifically around Waterford and the South East. Firstly, a couple of texts. Thanks, Rennie, for everything you've done for the Blues, from Richie, a former Stewart. Many other people texting in about all the great work he's done, and a lot of people asking what is going to happen to Waterford FC now. Texts are in from somebody. There's 4 pubs in Portlaw. It's unlikely that any of them will be able to reopen as they don't have the food licences. I wonder, will they apply for some in the next week or two? We'll see how it goes. Anne Casson, good morning.
Hiya, Damien. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? How are you keeping?
I'm grand, and I'm delighted to be on your show, and
it's lovely to have you.
Congratulations in your role. I know you're well established. It's the first time we've met on air, and
yes.
Congratulations, and I'm delighted to be here on the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you, and we're going to talk specifically about the programme that's going out tonight in a minute. But firstly, it's been a difficult time for everybody in the media, and you've done very well, and Nationwide continued over the summer, and I presume you had to put in place all the different social distancing guidelines and everything like that, and I know Owen, the producer, and others. So fair play to you for keeping the things going. I presume the last 3 to 4 months has been difficult to keep things going, but you've managed.
We've done, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I think we've managed to respond to the change in the country. I mean, the beauty about Nationwide, as you well know, Damien, is that our mission is to reflect the country back to itself. We're not set up like a big documentary unit, which requires 3 or 4 weeks and months of pre-production, and we're not as fast a turnaround outfit as, let's say, news, get it on and get it off. We have a little bit more scope to reflect the country back to itself. So we have not failed. We have not failed. Sorry, we have continued to broadcast.
You did, yeah.
And I mean, one of the nice items was to be able to get in the car and to be able to come down and cover stories. I've been to Kilkenny quite a few times. I've been down to Waterford, but we had to observe pretty strict social distancing rules, and we're all familiar now with the shows. You see people walking along 2 shots where you might have people former times walking along together side by side. Now we have this 2 metre walk. So we've done a lot of that, and we have kept the teams very small. So I've worked with possibly a cameraman on my own or with a producer. So the team has been very small, maybe 3 people maximum, and then we would interview stories one-on-one. We do an awful lot open air. I have to say, delighted now that the weather has been good. I've seen the back gardens of so many houses you would not believe. In the side entrance, around the back, sit down, observe, whatever. Me on one end of the table, the interviewee on the other end. So it makes for, it means that we can always cover stories, because really what we're about is powerful personal stories, and we have been in a position to be able to reflect the country back to itself. And I was thinking about, we've got used now to seeing footage of empty streets, that eerie, haunting kind of pictures, which we broadcast at the beginning, and now we've got used to it, and now we have people, businesses opening up and people walking down streets up and down and all of that. But really those early days when the streets were empty were really very strange and eerie, and we were in a lucky position of being able to film that and broadcast it as it happened. Yeah,
and you'll reflect that, and that will be reflected in history, and we'll see that in programmes to come looking back on this. But fair play to you and to all the team, and I know a lot of them personally, obviously, between Owen and all the camera people, Brian and Susie and Neelis and Melanie in the office and Shirley in Cork and everybody. So, and well done, and to your co-presenters. It's been so important, and the ratings have been very good, because obviously there's been a lot of people watching Nationwide, and this idea of a feel-good factor, it goes to the heart of what Nationwide's about and reflecting the community. And I presume that is at essence what you were doing when you were talking to Tom Gallagher and the Gallagher family, the programme that's going out tonight.
100%. First of all, Tom Gallagher is one of the most warm, engaging, chatty people you could meet on television. Loves a character like that. But he's very genuine, and I know your listeners would know him well, and his 2 siblings who also contracted COVID, Trevor and Trace, and his brother-in-law, Kieran Godkin, who also contracted COVID-19. And as your listeners will know, Tom spent a lot of time in hospital, 66 days in total, including 2 sessions in ICU, very long sessions, and he came close to death. I think that's well established. He certainly speaks about that on the programme tonight, and the medical team around him also spoke about that. He is a man who has, I suppose, looked into the abyss, Damien. He's looked into the abyss and he's come back from it, and he's very, very grateful for what he terms his second chance at life. But what was so warm about him is that he's such a talker, and I know the family are quite a reserved family. Trevor speaks to us tonight on the programme. He's very shy, and Trey's sister also very shy. But they're just very grateful to have made it through, and they're very, very grateful to all the good work in University Hospital Waterford.
Yeah, and I know you got some really good access tonight, which is lovely as well, and well done to Grace and all the team at the hospital, and in terms of talking to the consultants as well, and well done to Brian and Susie. Obviously, you've worked with them and continue to work with them for Highlight Television over the years. It's a lovely personal story, also encapsulating, I suppose, how systems work and how people adapt. So the adaptations that G had to do in Nationwide, hospitals and the health service had to do that. And I think from what I've seen with the promo as well, and knowing Tom and having spoken to him, it's come together very well. And it's programmes like this as well that combine that personal with the more general feeling that they're just so heartwarming. And it must. Do you love doing stories like that?
But I mean, it's an organic process, as you know, Damien. I mean, we didn't set out 6 or 8 or even 10 weeks ago to do 3 programmes, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, on COVID. I mean, it initially started, if I recall, that I had a chat with the programme editor, Owen Ryan, about let's do something about frontline workers. We had a beautiful package that our colleague Valerie Waters had done about the 101-year-old history of the INMO. And so we built something around that. So that brought us to Waterford, and a lot of, and we did a story on some nurses, community nurses, hospital nurses, and that went out on Monday. Our colleagues in Limerick gave us a story from Kerry about a man who had survived COVID-19. And then, owing to the good work on the ground by Suzanne Butler-Walsh in terms of prepping this programme, we came back to Waterford. The hospital were happy to let us in. They gave us great access. We got to film in the Dunmore wing, which has proved to be critical in the treatment of COVID-19 patients because, as you know, it has 24 single rooms which allow staff to be safe and, importantly, patients to be safe because they can be isolated safely. So what I'm saying in a roundabout way is that the process of programme making is organic, and I love that about Nationwide. I love the fact that it can happen organically in that way. I find, as you probably found when you were on the road, that one story can lead to another, and therefore you can communicate and get it on the air pretty fast, pretty rapidly, and be speaking to audiences the audiences are strong at the moment, between 200, 300,000 share we're getting at the moment, because one of the upsides of course, all this social distancing is that people are at home and they're watching telly, and they are absolutely hungry for positive stories in these lockdown days.
Yes, yeah, you've encapsulated the essence of it there perfectly. A lot of texts coming in and to say well done, and the Waterford stories that are done, and not just Waterford South East stories, so fair play to you. Say hello to Donna for me and the children, and continued success and great work.
Thanks, Damien. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much,
Tell
Anne.
everybody it's on at 7 o'clock tonight, RTE1.
7 o'clock tonight, RTE1. And lovely to talk to you. God bless.
Thanks, Damien.
Thanks very much. And Casson there. Nationwide has been fantastic in promoting Waterford in such a positive light, said Peter. Thanks to all involved, especially Brian and Susie and Melanie back at base. I'm a huge admirer of the programme. That from Peter Doyle. Paul has texted in about the same thing. A lot of people still texting in about the John Cummins interview and also the interview with Alan Reynolds. Stay with us. We're going to hear about shopping next. Now, keep your texts and comments coming in. As I said, a lot of people there praising Anne and Nationwide and the positive stories. The very best of luck to Tom Gallagher and all the Gallagher family and all the staff working in the hospital. And that programme goes out at 7 o'clock tonight. And as I say, Brian and Susie Walsh got very good publicity regarding that. Very good access regarding that, and fair play to them. They do a marvellous job. Now, earlier this week on Monday morning, I went over to Shaw's Monday afternoon to talk to people in the store. Going to hear the voices of some of the staff. A lady who's there 41 years who never spoke to the media before. Firstly, I went in and spoke with manager Stephen McGrath. Let's walk a little bit as we go, Stephen. We're doing the social distancing here. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. How's it been?
The day's gone very well from us. We opened at 10:30 this morning, and we opened for our first hour for our vulnerable customers. So 10:30 to 11, 11:30, we kept that space there for them. But all day it's been a steady flow of people. We've had no queues at the doors, which has been great. But everybody who's been in has been spending, and the day has gone extremely well.
Talk to me about customer flow, and talk to me about, I walked in there and again did the hand sanitising. You have the front doors open, the back doors closed, or they're exit only?
Well, with HSA guidelines, we decided to implement a one-way system throughout the store to control our customer flow. So you can enter through the key entrance, and we're lucky enough to have space in the SIP Cafe to create a queuing system. So even if it's raining, you're not going to have to stand outside in the rain. You'll be able to queue inside. And then at our Georgia Street entrance exit, that's where people will exit the store. So we've as soon as you get in the store, you're free to browse anywhere you wish, but it's one way in and one way out.
And again, another good thing about the store is because it's that so much bigger, you're also disability access is good. Have you removed some clothing racks? What have you done?
We've spaced out some of our sections, especially when we were looking at sections like menswear, because we're obviously conscious of Father's Day being at the end of the week. People want to come in and get a present for their dad, so that typically that particular area in the store has got bigger. That's
where we're standing here at the minute.
That's correct. And within our other sections then, there's been some slight moves around the store, again just to space out product a bit better to give people plenty of room to roam around.
It's a funny time for staff as well, because just talking to some of them there, and it's like their first day at work, because a little bit of butterflies in the tummy from yourself as well, just on all the different plans you put in place, and that's fine, but just to see them work.
Well, that's it. And you know, I've an absolutely amazing crew of staff here, second to none in the town, and definitely they're all being provided with PPE, so they have it if they wish to use it, even though there doesn't seem to be a massive uptake on it. Everybody's hand sanitising their hands when they come in the door, and we have plenty of stations for the staff for cleaning products, for hand sanitisation, so I think we're very well set up.
Nobody effectively has been let in the door without sanitising their hands, which is important, and it's a good way of doing it, because if somebody picks up an item, has a look at it, I think people are being more conscious as well, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it's for the safety of all our customers and our staff, so you know, it's good to have it there. Everybody has been using it, there's nobody making a problem about it, and as well as that, we have some hand sanitisation at our exit as well, so people leaving and they wish to do so, they can do so there as well. In our footwear department, we've a screen as well, so if somebody needs some help with shoes, we actually have a screen that we can set between our staff member and a customer if they sit down to try it.
I can see it there now, yeah. What about fitting rooms? I presume they're closed at present?
Unfortunately, yeah, we would have to close all our fitting rooms, and we had to close our public toilets as well. So those facilities aren't there, and close contact things such as bra fitting is something that we have to suspend at the moment as well. But apart from that, pretty much everything else is business as usual.
It's great.
It's brilliant to be back. I think it's something we were all looking forward to, and while I suppose it was nice to have a little bit of a holiday at the beginning, that ran out very, very quickly, and as I said, all our staff and all the team here are all happy to be back in looking after the people of Waterford.
How important is it for people to shop local? Because there's been a lot of people that would have experienced the online retail experience for the first time in the last 3 months. They might try and say, I'll continue that. But the very fact of supporting local jobs in local shops.
Well, I think you can see from the town where we've had store closures, not only within Waterford but all the way around the country, and some very prominent names disappearing out. So while online shopping is very good and handy for people as well, I think you need to use it or you're going to lose it. So if you don't support the local shops and use the shops in the town, there's going to be no option but more of them to close. And that's something we don't want to see. We want a vibrant city centre in Waterford.
Very best of luck to you. Any idea when the cafe might be back reopen?
With SIP Cafe, unfortunately, they won't be back with us, but just watch this space because something more exciting is coming within the next couple of months, which I think a lot of people will like at Waterford.
Go on, give us an exclusive.
I can't give you any exclusive.
Give me a clue.
But if you look behind you, you'll probably get a hint.
Hey, Art King superstar. And before we go, Stephen, how many people are allowed in the store here at one time?
Okay, so we have a limit of 85 customers within the store at any one time, and it's been constantly running today at around 60 people, so there hasn't really been a build-up of any queues, and I don't envisage anything. Maybe Saturday might have a small one, but as I said, we have the indoor queuing area, so even if it's rain, it'll be fine.
And how do you come to that figure of around 85 people?
It goes with the square footage within the store so that we can constantly maintain 2 metre social distancing in theory amongst the whole store.
And if the social distancing guidelines are reduced to 1 metre, you effectively could potentially double that number of people in store.
Yes, we could go up obviously to about 170 people, and if that happens, I would envisage both doors being entrances and exits again.
And then I went to talk to some of the customers and staff. Firstly, customer Nolene Grant. Nolene, what's it like being back in Shaw's? What's it like? Is it brilliant being back in Shaw's?
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Glad to see them all open so I can spend me money.
Did you save all the money?
Simple as all that. To be no one get that after me. As well. Get out now. Go away with that.
Did you save all the money? Did you?
Huh?
Did you save all the money?
Yeah.
Yeah. The next customer I spoke to was Mrs. Kelly from Roanmore Park. What's it like being back here in Shaw's?
Brilliant to be able to come back and pay our bills. Absolutely. I have so much money, I'll be here for the day paying them, I swear. And that. Oh, it's lovely to get back out and see a bit of buzz around the town again.
It's one of the shops that is old style in the sense that it allows you to have a credit note effectively.
Yes, yeah. And that's lovely.
That's great, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Do you know what I mean? And we were coming in asking how much do we owe so we can get more stuff. You know what I mean? It's never clear, but sure, look, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
How have you found the last few months?
Desperate. Only for my niece, and that I would have been terrible.
What's her name?
Alice O'Brien. And that she's a niece in a million. I don't know what I'd do without her, you know.
And it's been tough.
Absolutely, very tough, because I mean, like, we're over the 70s now, myself and my husband, you know, and my son-in-law and my daughter, they're living in Tremor, so they couldn't come in, you know, and that, so other than that, I would have been lost without my niece.
And where's home for you?
Roanmore Park.
And being down here today and meeting people and meeting the girls and the staff.
Beautiful. It's great to see all the faces again now. Absolutely great. Be able to come back in and have a chat with the girls. But it's all done different now. Where the office used to be up there in the corner, we'll be able to pay now at any till.
Well, I'll let you pay your money. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you.
Then I spoke to some members of staff, including Pat Power, who's here for more than 40 years. What's it like today? First day back?
Very nervous this morning. Anxious, but it's fine now. It's grand, easier. It's nice to be back, but we just didn't know what to expect. But no, we're fine.
You put a lot of work into it. I know I was talking to Stephen there and the other people, and an awful lot of work and effort gone into it. There
has been a lot of planning, a lot more than expected. We didn't realise, but now it's running. It's fine. There's no issues, and customers have been very nice.
How many years are you here?
41 years.
Coming in this morning, going to sleep last night, coming in this morning.
I got butterflies. I was anxious, I was nervous. But by the time I come in then, the first hour is like as if you're never out of it. Yeah, but no.
And is it
it's
lovely,
fine.
Like there's customers we've just met, they just love Shaw's.
They do, yeah. And they all welcomed everyone was back when they came in. Each and every. But we welcomed them as well.
It's like a family kind of a thing.
It's a family, it is, of course. Yeah. It's a lovely place to work.
41 years.
It has to be after 41 years.
Are you still loving it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm on countdown now. I won't say how many more. I have 18 months left to work and that's it then.
Wow.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
You've seen a lot of changes.
Big changes. I'm working now from the time when everything was handwritten in receipts on duplicate paper. Yeah, handwritten. Everything.
This is probably
done paperwork.
This is probably the biggest change you've ever seen.
Oh, the biggest one. I'm not into technology. I have nothing. I don't know anything about technology, but you learn as you go along.
Yeah, you do.
You do, yeah. We're not too old to learn. We'll get there.
Well, listen, hope the week goes well and see how it happens.
Oh, I'd say so, yeah.
Jennifer Power, how's it going? We're upstairs now. This is all the ladies' clothes.
Ladies' clothes, yes.
How's it been this morning?
It's been tipping away nicely, yes. We've had the usual customers in, the all the regulars have coming in.
And everybody's saying hello.
Everyone's saying hello and keeping their social distance.
Is there a great buzz?
There is. Everyone's delighted to be back and seeing everybody, and all the workmates. We're all delighted to see each other. Yep, everything's good.
I was just talking to Pat Power downstairs, and they're 41 years. So many of the staff here are here many years.
Yeah, it's like a big family here. Everyone looks after each other here. Yep.
Were you excited about coming in this morning? A little bit nervous?
A bit apprehensive, but we're all once to get in and just get back to kind of normal again. Yeah, it's great to be back.
Do you like working here?
Love it. The staff are amazing. Everybody's amazing. We're all just one big family here. Yep, love it here.
One big family, and as we try to do on this programme, reflect what's happening out on the streets and in shops and the reality of the positivity that's there, and some people texting in. Great to hear the positivity. Hope that's reflected in many different media outlets. Regarding the positivity of Nationwide, Patricia has texted in to say, Anne Casson is a true lady. Waterford's sure ukulele strummers had the pleasure of meeting her at the garden party at Áras an Uachtaráin for the Dáil 100 celebrations when she was MC. She is a wonderful, fabulous person. Many people texting in also to wish Alan Reynolds the very best. Next, we're going to be talking about another sporting hero, courtesy of Flahavans. So if you have your porridge some morning, some people texting in about the Weetabix. Now, Nigel texted in, best of luck to Rennie, a legend of a player and a manager. If he's looking for the greatest shimmy in football, then I'm still available. A lot of people texting in about the Premier League tonight. Oh, the excitement. And we're going to talk about football now with a man who loves football, Gary Code. Good morning, Gary.
How are you, Damien? How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. Are you excited about tonight?
It's like any football man, Damien. Everyone is anxious to start watching football again. It's been so long that we've nearly forgotten what it looks like at this stage. But yeah, it should be good. 2 good games to start us off, you know.
Yeah. Who do you support, Gary?
Well, I'm Newcastle, Damien, always was, so I have to wait until Sunday now for, I think we're home to Sheffield United. So we should be safe.
Yeah, it should be, yeah. Paddy Code, Jimmy McGee said, was the best Irish soccer player ever. Waterford City man played in the 40s, 50s and 60s, and he is on our final list of top 25 Waterford sporting heroes as part of our Flahavans competition, if you want to call it like that, but it's a list, and it's a very, very privileged list to be on. Gary, talk to me about Paddy, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great list, Dave. I've seen it. There's some great names on it and some great names not on it, of course. But Paddy, I suppose, started with Waterford in the mid-30s, early 30s there. It's actually, would you believe, he would have been 100 years old. His 100th year of his birthday was just gone in April, so it's kind of a nice double whammy, I suppose, you know. Started with Waterford in the early mid-30s or so, moved into Shamrock Rovers in the kind of early 40s and stayed there for the majority of his career. Came back to Waterford to play in early 1960s for a couple of years. Now he's about 42 or 43 at this stage. He played at that level for 25 or 26 seasons. Came back then and played for a couple of years at Waterford and then managed into the First League success in 1966, which he always said, and he's a lovely man. I knew him very well. He was a lovely, lovely man. But he said that was the pinnacle of his football career, was managing Waterford to win the league for the first time.
That's a lovely way of putting it, a lovely tribute. People talk about players in different eras, and those that remember Paddy, and Matt has spoken so much strongly about him, and so many people do. Talk to me about him as a player, Gary, and what you know of him as a player in terms of how good he was. Like, for Jimmy McGee, who saw so many players over the years, for him to say Paddy Code was the best Irish soccer player ever, like that's some praise.
It is great praise indeed, and I suppose I laugh sometimes when people say that the players of yesteryear play today, and I always kind of flip around and kind of go, like, did the lads of today play in yesteryear if you put it back to those pitches and the heavy football and that? But I mean, like he was supposed to be a very, very good player. My late dad Shane always spoke so highly of him. Scored an awful lot of goals for what they call a midfield player. He played, I think he has the highest number of goals in the FAI Cup, even to this day. He still has a record of goals scored at 41. Now, bearing in mind he's retired for 60 years, it's a lot of goals. He had over 100 league goals, 126 league goals as well. I think he played 11 times for the Irish national team. Again, you have to bear in mind that the war years would have took away some of the potential caps that Paddy may have got. He was probably 25, 26 when he got his first cap. So I think it's the legacy he left with Irish football, kind of changing the style of play that he was in at the time. He was one of the very first men to go to England to Lilleshall and look at coaching badges kind of in the 40s and 50s. So he was, way ahead of his time, I suppose, Damien.
He was way ahead of his time, yeah, and I understand, I'm reading a lot about his management techniques as well. He brought together that group of players. a disparate group of players and some really good, strong personalities. And the way he was able to manage them and gel them all together over that consistent basis was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was for a number of years. Like, he was a remarkably quiet and modest man. I mean, he loved to watch a game of football and back a horse. He used to meet my dad very, very regularly, every other Saturday. So they meet up. The two of them loved to back a horse and have a pint and have a chat. But he got that bunch of players, and they just gelled, as you said, and they just bought into what he was trying to do. And I suppose it was the way he put it across as well, that they believed in him and he believed in them.
Yeah, no, that's a very good way of putting it. The Code family, and obviously you're involved in football, a lot of other members in the family involved in football. It's lovely to be involved in that and to have that legacy there and to have, I suppose, that excellence. And you try to do that in every walk of life, Gary, isn't it?
Well, you try. I mean, look, I suppose we're steeped in it. We grew up through it, and we've always been very proud of the heritage that was created by all those players back in the I suppose 40s, 50s, 60s. All the families, the Hales, the O'Neills, the Caseys, the Fitzgeralds. I mean, it could go on and on with just the family names, as well as all the other players, and great Johnny Matthews and Paul Morrissey. So I suppose we've grown into it, grown up with it, and we're very proud of it. And the game hasn't changed a whole lot. In how people think about it. It's just got a bit quicker and a bit faster, and people are a bit fitter, I suppose, Damien.
Yeah, talk to me about, before I just mentioned the other listings and the people on that, in terms of this Premier League. Do you think it's going to work in the sense that you would have watched some of the other matches in the Bundesliga and stuff? Do you think it's going to be difficult, but it's going to be there, isn't it?
It is. It's actually going to be very difficult to watch, because you like the noise of the crowd, you like to listen to what's going on, and and to hear. I watched some of the Bundesliga matches, and it's actually hard to watch them. There's no real atmosphere there, but I suppose people in Ireland have a great interest in the Premier League. So as soon as it starts, we'd be looking forward to watching. I think it has to work. Then they've put so much time and effort and money into it. They need to get it to work to fulfil the season.
Yeah, they really do. What about Waterford? You might have heard a little bit with Alan on earlier talking about Waterford FC. It's sad to see him go. I presume you'd like to wish him the very best.
Absolutely. I know Alan a long time. I know him for nearly 30 years now. I played with him. I played against him. He's a very dedicated man, very, very professional in what he does. And, his reasons are his reasons. And, I wish him all the best, because wherever he goes, he'll be a success. A lovely, lovely man. I wish him well.
Very much so. Listen, Gary, it's great to talk to you. It'll be great to get local soccer back soon then as well, both underage, schoolboys, schoolgirls and junior soccer. Hopefully you're missing it as well, are you?
Absolutely. I'm actually sitting in the stand at Tremor now talking to you here, Damon, and I'm just looking out at how good the pitch is. I was just chatting to Paul Tower before I came on. The pitch is looking brilliant here. And I mean, I think everyone involved in any level of football, schoolboys, schoolgirls, just can't wait to get back. But, we have to make sure that it's safe and it's right, that when we do go back, there's no stoppage in it again. Yeah, can't wait to get back. Everyone's itching to get back on the field,
I'd say Paul has it. Well, he has the pitch looking immaculate anyway. I'd say he has it looking pristine at the minute. I'd say it's unbelievable, huh?
I felt like royalty this morning when I walked in at the assistant. I walked across the pitch and he went, "You can't." So I think I was the first person to walk across the pitch.
He didn't even allow you to walk across the pitch, yeah? That'd be Paul, right?
He let me walk across.
Oh, he did he?
He let me walk across. He might let me walk back on it, so I don't know. But I might just stay there for another while and keep looking at it. Beautiful.
Very much so. Listen, thanks so much, Gary, to you and all the family. It's lovely to talk to you.
No bother.
And take care, okay?
Fair play, thank you. Bye-bye.
God bless Gary. Gary Code there, talking about Paddy Code. As we heard, Paddy Code, considered by Jimmy McGee to be the best Irish soccer player ever. Played in the 40s, 50s and 60s. Most of his career with Shamrock Rovers. Came back in the 60s, managing Waterford. Playing for Ireland as well. And he's been nominated as Waterford Greatest Sporting Hero as part of our list. Thanks to Flavins, we're on the search for this particular person. There's a list of 25 people. You can find out all the names on the WLR website. You can vote on the website, or you can text in the word hero with the name of the person that you would like to see make this. The last Friday in this month, we will have the winner. We'll be announcing the winner. We're currently on number 17. So we've gone through the likes of Niamh Briggs, Neil Goff, Ken McGrath, John Tracy, John O'Shea, John Milan, John Ledingham, John Keane, Jim Beglin, Gillian Hayes, Henry the Bromhead, Anya Wall, Alfie Hale, Beth Carthan, Craig Breen, Dan Shanahan. And tomorrow we're going to be talking to and about Patricia Jackman. So get your texts and comments coming in about all those different matters. Pat has said that Roy Keane was the greatest Irish footballer of all time. Damien, can you please find out when is Fair City coming back? Thank you very much. I don't know. I hope Waterford people still support the city centre and allowed to travel regionally. Don't revert to going to Cork or to Dublin shopping. People have to support local. Nationwide has been a fantastic programme. Other people, why are they not opening the churches? They can open shopping centres and close shops. Why are the priests and bishops not speaking out about this? It's a disgrace. So we had Bishop Fonzie in last week. I'm going to be talking to Dean Maria hopefully before the end of the week. And that idea that the churches should be open now, what do you think? Good morning. Can you please thank Alan for the marvellous job that he has done? He'll be missed and the best of luck to him. That's from Niall, a Blues supporter, and a number of other people again texting in about Alan. A number of people still texting in about Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael and the Greens, who are going to be voting over the next 24 hours. Now, thank you very much for all your texts, for all your comments. If I didn't get to read out a specific text, my apologies. We try to reflect as many as we can throughout the programme. Thank you very much, Julie, for producing. Thank you, everybody in Shaw's, for making me so welcome the other day when I visited. And we'll be playing some publicans' thoughts and comments tomorrow. And also, hopefully, talking to Fianna Fáil members on both sides of this very crucial debate. Jeff is up next. Keep listening to WLR. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.